Hi, my name is David Capetti, and in these videos I want to share how to draft here inside of Rhino. A lot of people tend to draft in AutoCAD or other programs, but I feel like Rhino is a little bit underappreciated in the drafting category. There's a lot of things that we can do inside of this program that we can do in many other programs, and the cost to work with this program is a lot less. There are a lot of other features that we can also use, so for these videos, I'll be going over how to create these floor plans. This is going to be a very basic outdoor bathroom standalone. And I've gone ahead and just created the layout of the outer walls and basically the entire bathroom, including dimensions. I have not gone over elevations or any of the other drawings that we would need, let's say, to create construction documents. But this is going to be a really great way to start using Rhino to do our designs and to share them with our clients and people that want to see them. So let's jump into how to create this, and I'll be going over all the steps. We're going to be creating the layers. We're going to be creating all of this. So hopefully you're excited about it, and let's get started. So I just opened a brand new file. This is, if we take a look at the units, so if we type in units, we can see what units we're working with. We're going to be using inches and then feet and inches. And that's because I'm here in the United States, where we use feet and inches all the time for our designs. But you could use any one of these and any units that are comfortable with you. A lot of the steps are going to be the same. Just bear in mind those things in mind. Now let's go and click OK. And now we can get started with a blank document. Now, first thing I like to do is organize my layers. By default, you will have layer 1 through 5. So we can use those to kind of start building our layers. Or if you already have another document, which you probably won't if you're very new at this, then you can kind of copy those in and use the layers to recreate the design. So what we're going to do is, sometimes I delete them because I don't need them all. There's different ways of doing this. We can just select it and delete it. We can also type in purge. And here under layers, we can get rid of the layers that are not necessary. So now what we'll do is we're going to start by creating the wall layer, and that's going to be what we start with. So I'll go here to new layer. I'll type in wall. And then I'll click here to make sure that it has that check mark, which means that this is the current layer. And now we can get started doing our design. Now, the cool thing about Rhino is that it's super clever in the way that it allows you to type in, let's say, inches or type in millimeters, and it will convert them to whatever units your file is in. So let's say if I wanted to create a building that is 10 feet by 8 feet, well, even though my units are inches, I can go in here and type in 10 feet. So I'll click. First, go to Polyline. Then we're going to click anywhere here. We can click in the origin, but I'll just click here, and then I'm going to move to the right. I also have all of these snaps on, and also ortho. Although you don't need ortho to create a straight line, you can hold down shift, but it is really useful in making sure that things are square. So we'll go straight this way, and we'll go 10 feet. And then we'll go down this way, and we'll go to 8 feet. So that's basically all we need, because now I can hover over this side and bring out a smart track guide, or I can just type in the 10 feet. And then here at the end, I can either click on the endpoint or C and then spacebar. This way you can close it and make sure that it closes perfectly. The other thing is you want to make sure that you keep all of your snaps and all of these on. Not all the snaps you're going to want to have on, because nearest can cause some issues. Just be aware that some of the snaps can cause some issues with accuracy. You're going to want to only have the ones that are necessary for drafting. On this next portion, we're going to now start by creating the outside walls, and then we'll move on to creating the rest of the design. Next thing we'll do is we'll take this line and we're going to offset it to the inside. Here's the one thing, is that sometimes the grid can be a little bit annoying if it's not something that you're used to. So you can go here under display and turn off the grids. So just want to make you aware of that. Next, we're going to take this. So we'll select it first. And that's one of the things that I want to say is sometimes you can select the object first before you do the command, and therefore already letting the command know that that is what you're trying to, let's say, offset or extrude or whatever. But you can also, let's say, type in offset, but then your first prompt is going to be select the curve. So we select this one. Now we're going to offset to the inside by whatever amount that the thickness of the wall is going to be. By default, or the typical stud wall is going to be 3.5 inches. And so I'm offsetting it to the inside. We basically created the design here, and I've been mostly working in perspective view, which technically is not the best way to do it. So let's move on here. So by double clicking, we can exit out of the viewport, and then we see all of the viewports. Now we can go here to top view, double click. Now we're here with the floor plan, looking at it as if it's just two-dimensional drawing. This is the same thing that you would see inside of AutoCAD. So now we're going to select this and this, and these are polylines, which means that they're joined. What I want to do is take these two and we're going to explode them. Why? Because we want to use these individual lines that we can offset to continue creating our design. So first thing we're going to do is offset the wall for, let's go here. We're first going to offset the wall for the bathroom. Then we're going to offset the wall for the shower. Then we're going to leave whatever's remaining for the end. And so first, let's go here, 2 foot 9 inches. I'll go here, I'll take this one and I'll offset to the right by 2 foot 4 inches. Let's do that again. It's 2 foot 9 inches. I just got to make sure I keep track here. So now we'll take this and we'll offset it once again by the same amount. So we'll do offset 3.5, and these are 2x4 walls. You can obviously have bigger walls if you want to. So that this is just kind of that the most basic design that you can create. You can always go a little bit crazier. So now that we have that wall, okay, we can move on to create this shower. So we'll go 3 feet to this wall. Off. So the other thing is you don't have to type in the entire command. As you can see, if you type in off, it already types in offset for you. And that can save you some time if you get used to it doing it this way. We'll do off just to offset. Then we'll do 3 feet. And then if you want to offset again, but we don't want to type in the command, well, you just hit enter and it'll do the same command again. We could go here to 3.5. And so we've created now this wall. But that wall is going to be cut off by 3 feet 6 inches this way. So depending on which wall you're using for reference of your dimensions, that's going to be critical for how easy it is to create your layout. So if you have all the dimensions, that makes it a lot easier. Otherwise, you want to work from the stuff that you really want to the less important stuff, and that way everything gets organized correctly according to priority. So we'll take this, we'll go offset, and we're going to offset this by 42 inches this way, which is 3 feet 6 inches. And that's the thing, is since I'm already used to kind of working on designs like this, I know the difference between inches and feet. So either 42 or 3 feet 6 inches. Either one works, and that's what's kind of cool about Rhino, is that it has a lot of cool neat things built into it that makes it a lot easier for those that are fairly new. So we'll go here to offset to the inside, 3.5. So what we want to do now is trim There's different ways of doing this, so let me show you the best way. You want to select your cutting object before you do the trim command. So I'll select this and type in trim, therefore letting the command know that this is the cutting object, and anything else that is not intersecting that, it's not going to be cut. So like I can't cut this one because it's not intersecting that. Next, on this part, this is a trick that I like to share. There's two ways of doing this one. Either selecting this, type in trim, cutting both of those sides, or selecting this, or typing fillet, which means it's going to round this corner. And if the radius is up 0, then we can select this one, and it's going to it's going to round the edge off, but since the edge is at 0, it actually closes it for you. And lastly, to make sure that everything is clean, we'll select these two, because those are going to cut in between here. Then I'll type in trim and trim the inside. And I'll do the same thing here. So I'll select those, trim, and then trim the inside. Next, we're going to create the door location. Now the door location is going to be up against the wall here. What's important to note is that typically you have about 4 inches here, so you can have enough substance to put the door on. And so with that, we'll make sure to account for that. I'll take this and I'll go offset 4 inches. I'll go here, I'll hit enter again, so you don't have to type in the whole command. I did. I'll go here to 36, 3 foot 6 inch, no, sorry, 2 foot 6 inch door. So we'll select those 2 lines, and I'll use this, which is called the gumball. And if you don't have that, I would suggest you turn it on because it is useful with this one, gumball. We can use this line or this arrow to kind of click it and drag it to the left to move it, but you can also type in M, enter, and then click and move. Now that they're intersecting, I'll select all of these because those are the ones that I want to trim, and I'll go ahead and trim both the top and these videos. Okay, so now that we did that, now we need to create the door for the bathroom. I'll go here, create a polyline from the center down, and then I'll offset to each side. So it's centered 15 inches and then 15 inches. Now we can use this to trim those bits and then keep this clean. Great. The next thing we'll do is we're going to add the door here for the entry. So the door is going to be here up against the right. So I'll offset this by 4. And depending on what door opening you want, it could either be 3 feet or I make them 2 feet 6 inches. This is going to be like a standalone bathroom for like a campsite or something like that. So I just want to make sure that it's big enough but not too big where it's overkill. Okay, let's bring back the other design here. And now let's take a look at the next portion, which is going to be adding the doors. And then some of these details, which are going to be the fixtures and the rest of the stuff. And then lastly, we're going to be adding the annotations, which are going to be the dimensions and the notes for the doors. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll go here to our layers. I'll go here to a new layer and call this dr/, win. This is just what I typically use, is door and window on one layer, so we can turn them on and off at once. You can have them separate, and that's actually not that hard to separate. So for now, we'll keep it here with doors and windows on one layer, and I'll go here to change the color. And this is just more of a style thing, right? That you could use any color. I like to use brown for the doors here. Cool. So with that door and window layer, now we can come in here and create the door. Now it doesn't matter which way it swings. Here it's going to swing to the inside, but depending on which way it swings, it's going to vary, right? So I'll go here to Polyline. I'll go here from beginning to end, then down by 2 inches, then click, then over, and then C to close, giving me a 2-inch door at the exact opening. And this is what I do to make sure that it is the exact same size. Then I can rotate this, picking this pivot point, extending the line for the reference, and then rotating it. And sometimes you want them 90 degrees, sometimes you want it to be 45. For this one, we actually want it to be 90 degrees. So I'll go here to a circle to create the turn or the swing of the door. And I'll create a circle from the pivot point because that's where it pivots. So now I'll take this and I'll offset this 2 inches to the outside. And I'll select that and this wall to trim the arc. Then what I do is I'll take this and I'll delete it. So this is the most basic door that you can create. Of course, you can download doors and windows that are already CAD blocked and you can place them in here, but it's great to know how to create everything from the beginning yourself without getting overwhelmed and starting from general, very general design to more specific detail. With that being said, we'll move on to taking this door, which is the same size as this one, and I'll tap Alt to make sure that I can copy it. When I click on that square, well, I won't click on that square. I'll select it. Let's do this again. I'll hold down Alt and I'll use this arrow to go to the left. And as soon as I do that, you'll see a plus sign right next to my cursor. That plus sign means that you're making a copy. So I moved it over and tapped Alt, and that makes you create a copy. Now I will rotate this like this using this arc, this blue arc. I'll click and drag until I'm 90 degrees. You can also click and drag and say 90 degrees, or just click and then do 90 degrees. Lastly, it's swinging the wrong way, so I need to mirror this using a mirror plane. So I'll click here, I'll click here, and depending on whether you said copy yes or no, I said copy yes because sometimes I do want the copy and it's just easy for me to delete it anyway. So now we'll take this and we will move it from that corner to the corner where it swings from. And that is the basics of creating the openings. Now, I do have an idea for this design to have some transom windows right above the door and that here, but that's going to come later when we create the elevations, and then also later on when we go into the 3D design. For now, we're keeping it simple. We're moving forward with the water closet and the rest of the detail, which is going to be the furniture. Now, here's the thing. These I did download. I didn't make these myself, but the thing is, if you're asking me to make a toilet from the beginning, I mean, I could, but some of these things we could save a little bit of time and they have a little bit more detail. So with that explanation, I'll make sure to have these linked in the description here, so you have the files that I use for this design. That way you can use those and copy and paste them in and kind of see how I organized my file. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this sink, and I won't take the text yet, so because we'll do one at a time. I'll take this and I'll take this, and I'll do copy to clipboard. Then I'll come in here and then I'll do paste. Well, when you paste it, it's going to paste it somewhere random here. So whatever toilet you find, I would go from the center on the back, bring it to the center back, and then move it out -2 to 3 inches. Next is going to be the sink. So I do something similar. Here is the thing to keep in mind. Between these two, you need to have at least 30 inches, and that has to be dimensioned and labeled on the plan, so whoever's constructing it knows that they have to stay within those dimensions. You also, let's see, we also need to know how much space we have in front here. So you have a door swing and it's not too tight. Here we're going to have enough space for the shower, and we need to have enough space to walk within these two because that's more of like the circulation area. So let's do that. Let's take this, and this we actually offset by 20 inches. So that is what I'm doing here. Is I'm taking this, I'm doing offset 20 inches, and I'm taking this and I'm moving it from the center there to the center here. And here it doesn't look like it fits right. So we're going to, let's say, move this -1. That should be okay. We could also do something around like this, but that's more adding detail that we don't need at the moment. So let's go to the shower. The shower, we're going to create it this way. First, we have a curb here so the water doesn't spill out into this area. That's where this comes in. I envision this being like a concrete shower without any curtains or anything, just open. And this curb is going to be high enough so the water doesn't come out. And then out here, we also have the foundation that we see, right? Because when you step up to the slab here, and then this is probably going to be sunken in a little bit more. With that, let's add the detail. Now, back in the day, you could design, or people, the typical symbol would be this little triangle, but lately I've been installing showers that are square and they come out of the top. So this is how I like to show it, because it's like a 12-inch by 12-inch that comes out of the wall. So with this, we basically created that floor plan. Now, the things that are important about a floor plan is that you understand how much space is there, what the size of the doors are, what the fixtures are, and that's about it of what we need for the floor plan. Then later on, we can come in with more information on the elevations and sections and things like that. So with that being said, let's move on to creating the dimensions. Also notice that the fixtures are on their own layer, and I make sure that that is a little bit of a lighter gray. And I'll move this over here so we can see the colors a little bit better. Now what we need to do is create a brand new layer here. We'll go new and call this dim. And it could be any color. For this example, we'll use blue. And now I'll start by creating a dimension and show you by default what it looks like. So by default, this is what the dimension looks like. And it's looking too small and it's in inches. But that's not correct. What we want to do is go here to Annotation Styles. Here under Annotation Styles, we have all of these different ones. If we do foot inch architectural and we hit OK, let's go to that. I'll create a dimension now. And it's actually too big now, right? So what we need to do is make sure that we create a style that works with our design. So I'll go here to Annotation Styles. Once again, foot inch architectural. And then we'll go here to New. And we'll start from that one with this template. We'll go to this one, select it, make it current, and then go to Edit. Now in here, we can see the options for this dimension style. I'll go here to a dimension, create one from here to here. It's going to look exactly the same. Now we can go back here and make some adjustments and see what that looks like. I'll go here to Edit, Model Space, Scale, I'll do 12. Hit Apply. And now we're working with something that is working a little bit better. So I'll do 24 and then hit Apply. Now we're going to start dimensioning this building. And when you do dimensions, there are some things to be aware of and keep in mind. But the most important thing is clarity, and that all of the dimensions are there to locate all of the items that you see here. Most importantly, the walls, doors, and windows. So let's get started with that. Let's go dimension the overall building. That makes sense. Next, we're going to dimension this wall to locate it. Now, there are different ways that we could do this. We can go from outside to outside, but the best way, and in the field, this is the one that causes the least issues, is from, you always want to dimension to one side of the wall only, unless you have, there are specific things, and I'll talk about it. So from outside to this one, because you'll hold the tape here and you'll pull it to create this wall line. Then we'll do the same thing here. We'll go from here to the outside. And notice that the dimension lines don't touch the drawing. This is so it does not confuse you in thinking that this is part of the building, right? Clarity is one of the most important things. So with this, we'll continue on and go from here to the outside, because that is the dimension line that we already have. The other cases in which you would do that is I would dimension between these two, and then I would write a note. I moved it using this. It's going to say history broke, which is okay. So with this, 3-1, but we technically don't want it to be just 3-1 from here to here, because we have this dimension going to this one. Well, 3-1 is going to tell them, I want there to be at least 3 feet clear so people can walk around here. That's what I did here. The dimension says there's 3 foot 1 inch, but I'm telling whoever's building this that there needs to be 3 feet clear when you walk in this area. And that is where you would change the location of your dimension, but that is just to show the inside to inside space, so you have clarity in construction. Let's go back. We'll go in here. Next thing, from here to here. And here's the thing, you do want your gaps to be consistent. So you can eyeball them first and then align them, and that's going to make it a lot cleaner. There's going to be also this dimension, of course. Then we're going to have this dimension. And then we're going to have the inside dimension here. The cleanest is when they're all lining up. So what happens with record history is that when you move a dimension, it ties it to these lines. And when you move it, it says that, oh, it's no longer just tied to those lines, it's just a floating dimension. The other thing is that sometimes you want them to be organized in one side if it's possible, because then down here you can add notes and other things. So we got that, this one, and then the inside one, this one, and here I put it up here, but that's okay. Next thing is, if we want to add text, there's different ways we can do this. We can double click next to it, we can say toilet. So you can actually add to the dimension. But the other thing I like to do is just take this, hold Alt, bring this down, then type in explode, which will basically explode all of those, and then we'll go in here and we'll type in 30-inch So 2'9" is more. Yeah, 2'6" is 30 inches. So this is just making sure that it has that at least, which it most likely will. So just making sure that I add that there. Here's the thing. When I select this, it has the same text type, which I feel like it's okay. But if you want to change that, and that's one of the things that I changed in the other, is you need to download a font that looks architectural. And the one that I've found is, if we go here to properties and change the font to something that looks architectural, like City Blueprint, and that will make a font that looks more kind of architectural. So we'll take this and I'll tap Alt, make a copy here. So I can create, is going to be 3'0" minimum. Now we're going to label the rooms, and then we'll label the doors. So by creating a new layer here, we'll go to Notes, and I'll take this, hold down Alt, make a copy down here, and then I'll select it and right click on Notes and go to here to change object layer. Now I'll go here to my options and make this bold. It's a little bit easier to see. Now we'll go here to bathroom. And nice touch of creating a little box around it. This I won't do with a box around it because it's just a water closet. Then I'll go here to the next one, hold down Alt, and then I'll use this square to move it in 2 dimensions, so anywhere here. Shower. And then sink. All right. For the most part, we've taken on the similar things here. Let's do the door openings. I'll take this one, water closet. I'll copy it down here and make this a 2'6" by 6'8" door. And I can hit enter and do 2 at the same time here. If you don't want the text to be too big, I'll select it and then click in the middle and do 0.5. This way it scales it down by half. Why? Because maybe this is not as critical when you're in the design portion of it. You just want to know approximately the size. And then I'll copy this over here. It's the same door. Last thing I noticed is we'll go here to our layers. We'll create a new layer and call this hatch. I'll make that my current layer, change the color to light gray, and I'll select the walls and I'll type in, or actually I'll go here to the wall layer, right click, select objects. Now I can isolate it, and as long as I have those selected, I'll deselect this one and I'll type in join. It said the history broke because some dimensions were tied to it, and that's okay. Into one closed curve. If it doesn't say one closed curve, there's another trick I can show you, which is curve boolean. But if it does close, then we can type in hatch solid and then hit OK. Now I can type in show or unisolate. And this way, now we have everything finished here. Now this is a straightforward tutorial. I'm showing you a straightforward design here. It's a bathroom, shower, sink, standalone building. But a lot of these concepts, you can take them for any other very custom and complicated design and be able to work around using Rhino. And that's one of the benefits of using Rhino, is that you can go from drafting all the way up to like parametric design. So cool things that I've shared here. Please let me know what you think about this. I do want to continue with this, but feedback is very, very important to me. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.